anything like that. And we tried to role model for him. I went to school myself to graduate with a master's degree.
Are you ready?
That's probably the last.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Las Vegas Clark County Library Board of Trustees meeting to order at 5:01 p.m. Before we get started on the roll call, I just wanted to take a moment of silence to honor those who we lost at last week's tragic event at UNLV. If you just a moment of silence. Please. Thank you. Ms. Nance, if you would call the roll, please.
Chair Wah,
Here.
Trustee Rogers, Trustee Haran. Here. Trustee Whiteley.
Here.
Trustee Foyt. Here. Trustee Ortiz.
Here.
Trustee Benavidez.
Here.
Trustee Sanchez. Here. Trustee Dukowski.
Present.
Trustee Shelton.
Here.
And we do have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you very much. If you'll everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
I have one to read.
Okay.
Aloha, my name is Tamar Hupili. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Chair of the Clark County Las Vegas Library Foundation. I would like, oh, she's here. Okay, great. I don't have to read.
She's here if she wants to do her public comment herself.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we can't hear her.
She's just getting up to the podium.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No problem. Hello, everyone. Yes,
I'll be there
thank you
momentarily.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me some time during public comment. My name is Tamar Hoapili, and I'm the chair of the Clark County the Las Vegas Library Foundation. And I just like to comment, there was an agenda item when I was looking over the agenda today. It's located under new business. It's called the regular agenda and trustees. This is the first time that I remember that I've heard of the district looking to hire a capital campaign and naming right consultants. And while I think this is definitely the next best step, I believe that the foundation, let's be involved in this discussion regarding the campaign consultant, because we're the fundraising arm for the district, right? And this is our mission and our purpose. And as you know, many of us were there, the foundation board members and trustees had a retreat this past Monday, and we discussed working together to take our libraries and foundation to the next level. And we discussed ways on how to grow, better our relationship, have the foundation strategic plan work in conjunction with the district strategic playbook. And actually, we want to look to hire an executive director for the foundation and just so much more. We just discussed so much more at this retreat. So it was exciting to see the growth and the potential for the foundation and the strength of the district and the foundation together, definitely together. So I just wanted to share that, I'd like for us to discuss on this before you move and, move forward on this board agenda item that I saw today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Is there anyone here for public comment? Seeing none, I will close the public comment. Move on to agenda number 3, board action to accept proposed agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
A second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Agenda item number 4, approval of proposed minutes. I hope everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes. If there are no corrections, I'll take a motion.
Move to accept the approval of minutes for both A and B.
You have a motion. Do I have a second? There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, chair's report. So as we, I know that we've kind of had some conversations around this. So we were looking to move our April meeting, which I forget where we're supposed to be, but moving our April meeting to Mesquite, Clark County Library. It was usually going to be April 11th at Mesquite. We're looking to move that same day, April 11th, to the Mesquite Library. One question that I wanted to put to the board was, because Mesquite, no offense, Trustee Dukowski, is a ways out, if there was a mood to potentially try to do the meeting earlier in the day, or if we just wanted to keep it 5 o'clock PM in Mesquite. I'm interested to hear people's thoughts.
I am open to whatever works for all of you guys. So I'm flexible. That's what I can say.
Okay.
I'm neutral.
Okay. Anyone who can't do earlier?
I can't say at this point, sorry, this is Trustee Benavides. I just wanted to say I can't commit right now just because my schedule can change on a drop of a dime. So I'm be willing to attend if I'm available. If not, I'd always be available on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Trustee Benavides. This is Trustee Whiteley. I would love to be in Mesquite. I'm in the car right now trying to get to this library because my job is not easy to get out of during the day.
Okay, so we'll plan to keep it 5 o'clock, recognizing that folks will have to travel anyway. And then of course Zoom will always be an option, but we'll keep it at 5 o'clock. So our April meeting will be Thursday, April 11th in the Mesquite Library at 5 p.m. I also wanted to make sure that I congratulated, where is he? Mr. Prendergast for winning his tech award. So congratulations. He was at our meeting last time, so I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted him. And then of course, congratulations to our executive director, who's receiving his MBA this today. Okie dokie. We'll move on to agenda item 5B, trustees report. Are there any comments, questions, thoughts that trustees would like to share this time? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close agenda item number 5 and move on to agenda item number 6, library reports. All the reports were there for trustees to review. Is there anyone who would like to pull up any specific reports?
Mr. Chairman, through you, if I can have Mr. Reno and Mr. Floresto Cabayas, he's serving as the acting director in the absence of the director for our bylaws.
John Vino, General Services Director for the record. Good evening, Floresto Cabayas, Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, through you, I did have just a couple questions. First of all, it's on the West Las Vegas Library. Just real briefly, we have 3 questions. One, the architectural drawings are done. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have an estimate on what it's going to cost? That's not what it's going to cost because
we're working on 35 million, just
35 million.
At
Okay.
our last.
Okay. Thank you. That's a number. Years ago, I was taught to solve a problem, you must know what the problem is. And so, okay, that's a number. And of course, for anybody listening, it could be more, probably won't be less, but okay. And that's based on the square footage of the cost.
It's based on actual estimates from independent estimators, OCMI, O'Connor within town, and Core Construction both provide independent estimates.
Very good. I'm very happy. Mr. Cabayas, I did have a question for you, Mr. Chair, through you. So 35 million is the number. We had voted on this and agreed to fund it. And based on your projections, we have the money to pay for it in cash. Is that correct?
The money is available in reserves, and depending on funds raised, as I've mentioned before, from New Markets capital campaign, any funds that are currently held in reserve could be reallocated. So this is why we're seeking all of these other funding sources. Although without that additional support from these other sources, we do have funds available to fund construction if needed. But again, this would put some strain on our other capital programs, the critical ones I've mentioned before, such as building maintenance, repair, technology. We talk all the time about the recovery of the Mount Charleston Library. Those are unanticipated events that we like to have funds in reserve for. So again, the funds are there. We would like to build as much of a reserve on top of that, if possible. But if needed, we can provide support and finish construction on the West Las Vegas Library. That's right.
Thank you. I thank you very much for that explanation, Mr. Chairman. Through you, that's exactly correct. We have the money to build it. Clearly, we're not throwing all our money at one project. There's other unanticipated expenses, other capital improvements that the district has requested. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. And the last question that I have for you is: do we have another date set for groundbreaking?
We're working on the last week in February at this point. It's really up to lining all the speakers back up and making sure all their dates are available. We're ready to go at any time, but Joanne is working and has reached out to all our speakers and trying to get everyone to commit to a single day again, I think is the challenge.
Well, Mr. Chair, through you, I would say that it's our event. Let's not depend on anybody. Elections are coming around. There will always be a reason not to be there. Always. There's always an event. We pick our date, and I don't want to see it past February because this project's been on 2.5 years and the price is continually going up. And so if the speakers can be there, great. We'd love to have you there. If not, we're sorry. We'll send you a nice goodie bag. So please share that with the director, and I'll share that directly with the director. But Mr. Chair, that's would be my request. Let's not kick this can down the road any further. And the elected officials, if they believe in us, they'll make the time to be at the date we're at.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy. Thank you so much, Mr. Vino and Mr.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Maybe a little
Thank you, Mr.
commemorative little bag of dirt from the site. Trustee Sanchez.
Yes, I was wondering if we could please pull the development and planning report and community engagement report. Community engagement report and planning and development.
We'll do Joanne first, and then we'll get Matt.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Joanne Pravetti for the record. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I was wondering with your report regarding your grant funding, if you can go over that. I know that your office has been involved with federal grants. It does $10 million, and I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Sure. Let me just grab the correct report. Just a moment.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have so many reports up here.
No problem.
Okay. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. What would you like me to go over?
So you said from September to December, they're to be written. And I was wondering if you could go over line by line. Nevada Partners, 30,000. What would that be for F1, 500,000? What is that for the Centene Corporation? Just so I have some background knowledge on it.
Sure, just a moment.
And take your time. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just have so many papers.
Yeah, no
here with
worries,
me
no
today.
worries.
So with Nevada Partners, we will be submitting a grant that will help funding for the West Las Vegas Library. They're looking at partnering and doing youth programming at Nevada Partners, where Lanika, who is the branch manager at West Las Vegas, and I have been working with Nevada Partners for the past few months. They have a specific contact there that works with the grants, and that grant will be for funding for West Las Vegas. For the F1, they are interested in possibly funding a mobile tech van, where it would be like a bus that would go into communities, like a mobile library. And they're really not interested in putting their name on it in a big sponsorship way, but it's something that they're potentially looking at where they would fund the bus and the components and just have a little sign outside that would say powered by F1. So we've had numerous meetings with them, and they requested that our next meeting be after the new year because of the race and everyone taking the time off. So that is what that particular funding could go for. When F1 was in town, the F1's in schools leadership reached out to the library, and I met with them on 2 separate occasions. Once I went to the Venetian to meet with them, and they discussed the F1 in schools program. The next day, I brought them to the West Las Vegas Library with Director Segura and also Lanika, the West Las Vegas branch manager, to talk about possibly bringing the F1 in schools program to our library. They were very interested and very excited about the STEM and STEAM programs that we have there. So that would be all part of this funding. So nothing's secured yet, but these are projects that we're working on. And if you'd like in the future, I can go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, no,
Just-
but you know what, this is great. It's just, and it's whatever you want. I just thought, okay, well, what does this mean? And how does it relate? And what branch does it relate to? Or is it district wide? So that's why I'm asking.
Right. So the first two, the first one is a specific branch.
Mhm.
The F1, if they go with the van, it would be countywide. And if it is the F1 in school program, it would be at the West Las Vegas Library and other libraries that have that STEM programming. They just fell in love with West Las Vegas, I have to tell you. I think you could see it in their picture when they came to see us. And with Centene Corporation, we submitted funding for the mobile phones for people experiencing homelessness.
Okay.
And so that would be similar to the program that was kicked off, I think, in March of 22.
Mhm.
So just an extension of that program to help that demographic. And with the Walmart grants, there's 25 Walmarts and Sam's Clubs located in Clark County. We submitted these grants to all of the Walmarts. And when that fund comes in, the funds come in, they will go specifically to the library that's in that Walmart's district. That's how they do their funding at Walmart and Sam's Club. So if they fund, if we get funding from Centennial Hills, it would be for the Centennial Hills Library. If we get it over by the Rainbow Library, it will go to the closest library. And if everyone's familiar with the 215 in Rainbow, there's a Walmart and a Sam's Club there. So that's potentially $10,000 just from that location because it's $5,000 from each. And the same in Centennial Hills. They have a Walmart and they have a Sam's Club right in the same parking lot.
Mhm.
So each individual building has its own manager, and the manager reviews the grants with the employees. And the nice thing about this is it's employee based. So the employees see where the need is, and the employers are the ones who vote on this. So we're hoping to bring in a nice amount of money. We did receive some grant funding from Walmart last year. I think it was less than 20,000, but we're still reaching out. They're seeing what we're doing. We're affecting their employees. They're aware of the programs that we have, especially the Cox Wi-Fi program, because a lot of their employees can qualify for that. So it's just a really nice partnership that we're building with this really great retailer.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to ask about the $10 million of, I think it's federal funding.
Yes, so
It's a grant.
it is a federal appropriation
Okay.
funding. So if everyone's not aware,
Trustee Sanchez, could you pull your microphone towards you just a little bit?
Sure, I'm sorry.
Just like
Oh,
pulling the carrot there.
so most people might not be aware, but every year the federal government allots its Congress people, congressmen and women, 15 funding opportunities that they can submit for federal appropriation funding for the government to review and award the funding to the congressperson, and then that congressperson will award the funding based on what they received. So we submitted a $10 million funding appropriation through Congressman Horsford's office earlier this year. And it was supposed to be voted on in October, but then there was a time where there was no speaker. And there's been some things going on. So we haven't received the official notification, but if you were to go to look at Congressman Horsford's website, which is a public website, we are listed on there as the #1 project. And I'm not sure if we were listed #1 if that's how he did it, but that's how it's listed on the website. So there's us and 14 others that he submitted for funding because he saw the importance of this program.
so what is the scope of the $10 million? What could that fund?
It would fund the West Las Vegas Library. If
Okay.
we were to receive that $10 million, it's specifically for the West Las Vegas Library.
That's great.
Mhm.
Okay, great. And then one more question. I know that you've been speaking to the Raiders. Can you tell us a little bit about that collaboration?
It's been a wonderful collaboration with the Raiders. They are interested in being long-term committed partners with the library at various levels. We have not ironed out what the donation will look like, but it will be a continuous partnership. We've had 3 primary meetings with them, and then we had the meeting that I have in my report where Trustee Shelton and Executive Director Watson and I went and met with them. They are interested in funding various programs. We just haven't gotten to the point which programs it'll be, but it'll be district-wide.
So, and I think that is fantastic. I think everything that you're doing is wonderful. So thank you very much, because I know it's not
really a
easy.
pleasure.
I appreciate it. The other thing that I was going to mention, and I know that the Super Bowl committee has $3 million in grants, and they have 5 different areas where you can apply. I believe the grant funding ends January 5th.
We submitted yesterday.
Did you submit yet?
Yes.
Okay, very good. That is fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, so that will be on my next report
Mhm.
because this report was due.
Yeah.
So there's been some awards that have come in. If you'd like, I could speak about that. but
Well,
it'll be on
I
my
just
next
wanted to know,
report.
so when you did submit the grant, what is that for? What did you submit for? Because I know they had, like I said, they had 5 different areas.
Right, this is for education for the African American community
Okay.
through a partnership with NAACP. And it is for education and for election awareness.
Okay.
And for at-risk areas where individuals might not have the knowledge or are aware what their voting rights are and how the library can help through this funding.
Great.
Yeah, so it's a really nice program.
Thank you very
welcome.
much. Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Privetti? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. McNally.
Good evening, Chair Waugh, Board of Trustees, Council Welt. Good evening. For the record, Matt McNally, Community Engagement Director.
Hello, Mr. McNally. I wanted to say thank you very much for the amazing adult learning program graduation ceremony. I thought it was a wonderful event and I was happy to be there. And I know that when we were speaking, you were talking about how successful the program is, that it's actually #1 in the state when it comes to the amount of people that are graduating. But I do know that there's a difference between the online program and then the adult program. And I know the one thing that you had mentioned earlier to me was about accreditation. Can you share that information with the rest of the board? This is something that I didn't know, and I think it's important that we hear this.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you very much for the opportunity. The adult learning program runs a variety of different services, including English as a second language classes, adult basic education classes. They also run a GED program and a high school equivalency program, commonly known as HSE. The difference of our career online high school program, which is another service that we offer, the student actually has the opportunity to attain a nationally accredited diploma, which is fantastic. It's a different level, I think, that may be recognized by the workforce of actually having the diploma as opposed to an equivalency. So that's probably the biggest difference. The career online high school program is typically suited for students who may be 3 to 6 credits short of having graduated high school originally. If they're students who have a lot less or a lot more credits to have to make up, then maybe some of those GED or HSE programs are probably more appropriate for them.
So if I graduate from the online where I don't have a lot of classes left, right? I just want to come back and finish my high school, that is accredited.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's a national accreditation.
It's a national accreditation. And then the other program, is that accredited?
No, those are equivalency programs.
And
both
that's
the
okay.
HSE and the GED. Commonly, the workforce will look at both, as really being pretty close. It just Different employers have different requirements sometimes.
So if I got my HSE and I wanted to go to UNLV or UNR, would I be able to do that? Or,
Not familiar enough with the
Okay.
standards of the higher university systems to be able to answer that.
okay. That's interesting. I'll do some research on that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. McAnally, don't go away.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, through you, if I could request just a small report at the next meeting on the comic book festival. Time to look under the hood. How many people attended? What's our cost? What's our rate of return? I went. It's exciting. Hopefully somebody, if you haven't been to it, please go. It's a lot of fun. But it's something to promote, because it's been a successful event for the last 15 years. So just a written report at the next meeting.
No problem. I'd be happy to do that. Brief the executive director, and I'll include it in my library report next month.
Very good. Yeah, thank you.
And my only ask, Mr. McNally, is no graduations on Thursdays or Fridays during the semester because I love going to them. And I have class Thursday and Friday night.
We will do our best. Sometimes we have challenges with venues and different people and lots of schedules that are being coordinated, but we will do our best.
The last one was the first one that I had to miss since I was appointed. So I was devastated. I'm glad that Trustee Sanchez was able to go, but I'd love to make it if I could.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. If there are no other questions for Mr. McNally.
Just want to say congratulations on your service here with the library district as well.
Thank you. Appreciate
you.
that. Been a good 10 years.
Yes, and yeah, I saw you get your award. I thought that is fantastic.
20 more to go.
Well, thank you
you.
for being
Okay.
here.
Thank you.
Are there any other reports that trustees would like to?
Mr. Chairman, just one last one real quickly. Mr. Albert Pendergrast, Technology Director.
Award-winning Al.
Again, my request, Mr. Chairman, is to have a written report at the next meeting. Just as backup on our fiber optic grant that we received. And that we're going to pay monthly,
Yeah, not much to report yet. I did put it in my board report that the construction, I think the first site comes up over a year from now. It's in the report.
So what I'm looking
It'll
for
be a
is,
while.
if there's metrics or deadlines, when are we going to have connectivity? What's our cost? Even if they're not attained, at least we have some guidelines. That's really what I'm looking for. We received money to put it fiber optics. This board voted to pay for the service. And I'm looking for who's going to get connected first, second, third. That's what I'm looking for. Just a report
Okay.
at the next meeting.
I could do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Pendergast? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I just have two things that I just want to mention, which I believe are operations, but you don't have to come up, Leo. The first is I just wanted to highlight the West Las Vegas has checked out 1,100 of the Cox Wi-Fi cards, which I think is just a really huge thing for that community. And then my office neighbor at work, he's moving, so he had a bunch of books to donate. He took them to Summerlin Library. They said, well, only one bag at a time. I said, go to Sahara West. So he went to Sahara West. They said, here's a cart, load them up there, drop them off. And he said it was a wonderful, amazing experience being able to donate so easily at Sahara West. So I just wanted to give kudos to the Sahara West team for that. Kudos to West Las Vegas for the Cox Wi-Fi cards. And of course, ongoing thanks to Cox for partnering with us on that program. So
Really quickly, just to piggyback onto you, for my birthday at the end of October, my team did a book drive. I used book drive. They had a similar experience to Nate's. They took all of their books to the Clark County Library, and it was the same kind of thing. They said, "Oh, you can put them in the book drop," and they said, "Well, we got like 200," and the team was wonderful. So it was great to see. So thank you, team.
perfect. So if there are no other reports, I will accept the reports and we will move on to agenda item number 8, new business 8B. Discussion and possible board action regarding contract award for capital campaign and naming rights consultant services, whose responsibility will include development of a capital campaign pursuing all sectors and available sources, including philanthropic donors, sponsorships, and to identify naming right opportunities in accordance with district's naming opportunities policy as approved September 8th, 2022. Mr. Vino.
Good evening, everyone. John Vino, General Services Director, for the record. We also have Joanne Pravetti from Development and Government Relations Director, should anything need to come up. Just the background of the services. The consultant's firm shall be tasked with recommending and developing and implementing a strategic plan to identify and solicit potential naming clients, philanthropic donors, and sponsorship opportunities, as well as negotiate naming climate agreements for the new West Las Vegas Library, as well as selected future projects. Working with the district's development and government relations director, the scope of services include but are not limited to campaign, capital campaign plan, develop a campaign plan, calendar, budget to include specific goals and action steps, milestones, solicitation, strategies, identification, and prioritization of prospects, naming rights in accordance with the district's naming opportunity policy. The consultant will review the new West Las Vegas Library project to identify, recommend, and collaborate with the Development and Government Relations Director on potential naming right opportunities, which include recommending the best approach for maximizing revenues and other benefits, recommending a process for soliciting and selecting naming rights clients, creating a prospect list and timeline for marketing and negotiation of naming right agreements, implementing the plan and contacting potential clients, assisting in the district in negotiating agreements with potential clients. Major gifts, work with the Development and Government Relations Director to review existing donor lists to identify supporters with major gift potential and select those to approach, identify new major prospects, coordinate meetings, potentials, etc. And then sales and marketing collateral. The consultant will assist in the creation of sales and marketing materials in conjunction with our branding and marketing department as well. The history of our RFP, a request for capital campaign and naming rights consultant, was advertised in the Review Journal on September 10th. Additionally, the RFP notice was posted on the district's website and faxed to Minority Chamber of Commerce and to firms registered in Nevada Government e-Marketplace, Nevada, or NGEM. The bid proposal was opened on September 26, 2023. We received 5 proposals from the groups of Superlative, FIG, Strategy and Consulting, Quaint, Schaefer Company, LLC, and Your Grant Writer, LLC. In accordance with the appropriate technical specifications established for the RFP, the written proposals was evaluated by an evaluation committee for responsiveness to the solicitation. The evaluation committee meeting was held. The score is to establish a list of 2 finalists. The 2 finalists were the Schaefer Company and Quaint. All firms were interviewed on November 1st, 2023. The evaluation committee for interviews was the complete membership committee of the administration team. Finalists were evaluated on the following criteria: company experience, key personnel experience, and their proposed approach to project to include steps, services, deliveries, and project timeline. The evaluation committee finalized their evaluations on November 1st, 2023. Final scoring had Schaefer Company LLC with an average score of 86 and Quaint LLC with an average score of 70. Therefore, the evaluation committee has recommended award to the Schaefer Company LLC. Staff is requesting a motion to authorize staff to award a 1-year contract for the capital campaign and naming rights consultant service to develop a capital campaign and naming rights program for the district's new West Las Vegas Library, as well as other selected future projects to the Schaefer Company in an amount not to exceed $110,400, subject to fee negotiations and final review of contract by council. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vina. Are there any questions?
Sounds like you had a very good criteria. You had a fairly good response.
It was a good response. It's kind of a selected,
it's very
group.
so-
And certainly the final 2 candidates were close. I think the reason Schaefer just had a lot more experience within Las Vegas than some of the other candidates. She had part of the questioning, especially in the interview, was to relate the library district specifically to the market, and how that approach would be brought forward. She had a pretty good plan for the district. I think that's why she rose to the top, and it was unanimous by all the independently evaluated, and it was unanimous by all the administrative team. had selected her as the top candidate of the two candidates.
When would you bring whoever, if this is approved, when would they come on board?
And we would have to, if you approve, we'll start the contract services, but it's pretty straightforward. We can bring her on pretty quickly.
Okay.
There's a lot to be brought forward. Obviously, this goes through the board's naming rights committee that needs to be established. Our obligation to bring this forward is to this board, right? And what we owe this board for naming rights, and certainly very excited to hear the foundation wants to be and should be involved. It's spelled out in board approval for the process through our naming rights policy as well. So certainly they would be involved through this process, but there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just fundraising, right? So, when we look at $40 million for West Las Vegas, that's starts with the sale of West Las Vegas. It starts with the naming rights, brings us to 10 in federal funding, like you brought up, right? Is 20. So we still have 20 to capture. And so that gets broken down into philanthropy, gets into naming rights, which we really haven't ventured into, but that is a very complicated field. The board's direction, when we bring that, has to be through the executive director, where we have to provide proposals, where we have to show you the market, we have to show you the equivalent. So even if there's a lot to be brought forward to your naming committee, who then brings it to the full board, right? So, and then as you get into the philanthropy aspect of it and the sponsorships, we want to be very aggressive with this. And I think it takes, and that's why we're bringing this forward to the board. It's not, it's not really an expensive contract in terms of, some of the other stuff we're doing for West Vegas. And I think we can, move on it very quickly and be successful with it. We'll know relatively quickly, so it's not something that we would renew if it's not successful, so it's a monthly billing based on hours. It's pretty transparent, and everything would be brought through the board on a regular basis because everything has to go through this board. So there would be regular updates, and through the foundation, of course, would be involved. The naming rights through the board and through the way this is worded, what certainly authorizes the foundation to be involved at every step of the way. We'd be happy to work with them. Again, though, they would come up with their plan, working with the district, and then that also would need board approval through the naming committee as outlined and approved by this board. So we have a lot in front of us to do, but I think it's all doable. We just need to, get it rolling. And when I started researching this, I don't think there's a major building, a library building going on in the country that doesn't have a capital campaign associated with it. And they've been very successful. It's not uncommon for the number we're looking for, 20 million. St. Louis raised 20 million. Missoula, who was named Library of the Year for 2022, raised $36 million. These are smaller markets than we are. So I think it's a matter of, just getting the word out. And I think we're, as a library district, are going to be hitting it at the right time. We're, the district, our project is well known through the media. There's a lot of buzz around our project. I mean, Floresto has pretty much sold out on new market tax credits in record time. Everybody wants to be involved, and we just have to keep that momentum going. And as I said, I'm excited to get a team together. All us, the foundation, the capital markets, consultant, and brainstorm and come up with a plan. I think overall it could be very successful.
Thank you, Mr. Vino. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Ortiz.
I love it, but I don't think we're ready to move today. One, there's no backup. Two, we're required to provide the board, the principal, the list of principal who owns it. We've asked that every time. You've done that every time. There's nothing here. We don't have a copy of the contract. So, it should have been in there if we needed to get that done. And then what I'm having heartburn, I love the idea. From what I understand, and you can tell me that I'm reading it incorrectly, but they're gonna work on the West Las Vegas Library to secure funding on any opportunity they have. You want the door named after you, hey, give us some money, right? You want the outside wall, you want the showroom or the art room or whatever. But the way this reads, it's a little bit disheartening, as well as selected future projects. That's two different issues.
Well, if we hire a capital campaign manager and someone wants to donate to the Windmill Library $10 million, we certainly wouldn't turn that away.
But we have a foundation that does that. You can affirm the foundation.
No, this board is responsible specifically for naming rights, not the
Oh,
foundation.
for naming rights.
Right, so
Okay,
they have an opportunity. There's nothing stopping. This board has granted and certainly doesn't diminish or limit the foundation's participation in any way. But the naming rights and comes through this board.
Sure. So let's go back to what my concern is. So what I'm hearing you say is that this particular group that you would like, that you put a bid out, you feel comfortable with them so that they can work strictly just on naming, and it could include other buildings. And that's all they're going to work on, right? They're not going to raise any money anywhere else.
Well, no, it's
No,
certainly,
that's not
you know, this is a capital campaign. So it includes all aspects of anything that would be coordinated with capital campaign. I think I mentioned philanthropy, sponsorships. And again,
that's why we
she's
have a
supporting
foundation.
the district and the foundation in that role, right? Not,
Yeah, I'm not trying to be argumentative. Without
No.
having a contract, without having that specific writing, you know, I don't think we're ready to move. You know,
I'm not sure, we've never done a
I have a
contract before
question.
approval by the board.
Yeah, we have. In fact, most public boards, we have to have transparency. When a contract's given out, the contract's in the back of every agency. Has it.
And you're correct. I may have forgotten to include the paper that shows that she's an LLC, but
I have a question.
Trustee Sanchez.
Typically, you know, when we are discussing a fiduciary line item, and we know that the money is coming out of the general fund, we usually have we have the RFP, we have the backup, we have materials, and for some reason, we don't have them at this meeting. And I think that it is very important to have this backup before making a decision. I understand that, you know, $35 million for a capital campaign, $800,000 for reading materials, potentially $4 million for FF&E. That's a lot of money to build the West Las Vegas Library. And I understand that. But from a procedural matter, you are asking the board to vote and spend $110,000 of taxpayer money on something that we might not, like you said, we might not get what we think we're going to get out of it. We don't know. And what's interesting is that at our last meeting, our CFO was actually talking about that. He had said to me, look, at the November 9th meeting, he had mentioned that, you know, he wants to maximize all sources of funds. And I believe that the board wants to maximize all sources of funds. That includes federal appropriations, new market tax credits, capital campaign, and naming rights. But I feel because we are a public board entrusted with public money, it is important that before I make a decision, I have all the information in the backup material. And I was I'm a little surprised that we don't have that, only because we usually, like you said, we usually have it. And you know, things happen, that's fine. But that is a concern. I don't feel comfortable making a decision without having the backup for this. Also, $110,000 is a lot of money to me. And the one thing that the CFO said at our last meeting was, he said, and I quote,
Trustee Sanchez, wait, interject really quick?
Yeah.
We're on questions right now. Do you,
Yeah.
you have a question?
Well, my question is that I think you answered it there. If we go forward with this, there's no guarantee.
Well, it's a not to exceed that's billed monthly. So we're not committing to any amount up front. So we're only committing, we are agreeing to pay as you go based on completed work.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps, but
Okay.
that's, a lot like an attorney's fee. You have to bill monthly. In terms of the value of the contract, most of the proposals we saw required commission, which put this same contract in the neighborhood of $3 to $4 million versus $110,000. I don't have an excuse. I did forget to include the disclosure of ownerships. I must have thought it was attached to my agenda item if it's not there.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying
No,
that that's our job. We don't have a lot of tasks on this board, but one of them is the fiduciary responsibility and policies. And so this definitely falls under that. The other thing I want to ask is, why are we being asked to spend $110,000 of taxpayer money on this issue when we have a foundation that has a budget and they could pay for the contract and we would get a double win. The 110,000 wouldn't come from our general fund and it would come from the donation from the book sales. I didn't quite understand that reasoning, because I think that's something that we should discuss as a board.
Well, the one thing that I will point out is that our naming policy doesn't have a reference to the foundation. So even if the foundation had engaged in some of this work, ultimately it all flows through us for.
Right. The actual naming would flow through you. And we've had that before where the library district, right. Pardon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that the library district would be responsible for that. But we've also had the foundation pay for things. And I just think, in this day and age, I even read it in the CFO's report, there could be a recession and there is a potential for that. It's there in black and white. And so I'm just trying to do this in a manner where we, the district, can save as much money as we can because we don't know and because there are no guarantees. And I feel that, we had a retreat with the foundation. They asked what they could do. I think this is something that we should talk to them about and see if they'd be willing to do this, because to me, it makes sense. I know that $110,000 doesn't seem like a lot to some people here, but to me, $110,000 saved is $110,000 that this district can use somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Shelton, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I have a couple questions. The question that I have is, so the $110,000, was it budgeted for a capital campaign or funding opportunities?
Hang on.
Mr. Tobias is on his way.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening, Doris Tobias, Chief Financial Officer for the record. Trustee Shelton, that specific line item wasn't budgeted for, but we do have reserves also in the general fund that are available for these types of impromptu expenses. When we decide there are activities that are important enough to the district, we ensure that there are funds available. So again, it wasn't specifically budgeted, but the budget can absorb this type of expenditure.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And also thanks for the report. Even though you did miss some things, I think that it was a very good report and I'm ready to go with it. But the other question I have too, from a foundation perspective, I know that Tamar, my friend, gave a great little presentation. We also want to make sure that we are lockstep with him moving forward. But I think that we have to understand as a board, though, the foundation is only one arm of revenue service, right? I mean, that's one arm of funding opportunities. There's other ways that we can raise money. Now, together, of course, I think that it will work good. But I mean, let's separate it out. Here's the district, here's the foundation. The foundation can also go after funds. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be lockstep as much as we maybe want it to be, but it also will help us, actually diversify our funds. So that's my thoughts.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question for Crystal.
Could we do first round first? Trustee Whiteley.
Is there any, I know it's impossible to really project, so I won't make you marry any of these numbers, but did anyone give you a projection of what they felt like we could expect or could bring in, even on the low end? Okay.
No, we haven't. I mean, that's,
no problem.
Yeah, part
I don't-
of the budget.
Understanding that it's pay as you go, I would think they would not be interested in participating if they didn't think they were going to be able to continue working. Thank you.
Trustee Benavides.
In the past, when we've had consultants come in with or asking for approval, they usually come and give us a presentation as well. Are they here
No,
today?
we didn't.
Is there a reason why they're
No,
not?
not really. Just, it wasn't a detailed, I may have misread it, to be honest. We, staff, the whole administration team was involved in this. It's kind of our project to bring forward to just help move it forward. So,
Thank you. So we'll do Trustee
Sure.
Ortiz and then Trustee Foyt.
Mr. Chairman, I love the project. I love the idea. I think West Las Vegas can help us raise money. That's not an issue for me. But gaming it out, being a nuts and bolts type of person, Mr. Caballos, so let's assume we vote for this contract. This company goes out to get money. There's two ways to give money. Those that want to just give you the money, and they're not expecting a write-off. If they're expecting a write-off, it has to go to the foundation because the library does not do write-offs. So that's why they're involved. See where we lose that.
I have a question. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that's really what I'm.
A tax write-off, I think is what you're referring to, Trustee Ortiz.
A tax write-off. So that's where I'm conflicted, right? Because if they go after money, and I'm sure they'll do a good job. Okay, I'm not demeaning them. I'm sure they'll do a great job. But if there's a people that here's Raiders Foundation, take the money, we don't care. But there's other people that want to donate, but they want their tax deduction. Then that has to come through the foundation. And so we already have a mechanism. So that's why I'm conflicted.
They didn't say that. Where would the money go? If I donate to the campaign, if I donate to Schaefer LLC, where does the money go?
The donation would be made directly to the library district. And so going back to Trustee Ortiz's original question, you're right. There is a benefit of a tax deduction if someone were to donate directly to the foundation. However, the district is allowed to take gifts and has done so. The foundation's own endowment of $3 million was actually gifted to the district directly, and the district transferred those funds to the foundation. Now, there would be the tax benefit, but not all donors are interested in a tax benefit. Like I mentioned, the $3 million that originally came to the district was with the understanding that there would be no tax deduction. We received other gifts, pretty frequently directly to the library district. And again, these are donors that are aware that there is no tax benefit or write-off for it. So there is the opportunity to donate to the foundation instead, should the donor seek a tax write-off. But again, we've seen that there have been very generous donors that have not been interested in a tax write-off and just want to support the library district, even directly.
So with all due respect, that's why it would have been good to have a contract. And without having that contract, I'm just not prepared at this time. That you've answered my question and made my point. They're going to do a great job. They're going to go out and get money. But when there's a need to have a tax deduction, they have to use a foundation, and that's not written anywhere. I don't see it. So, I mean, that's what's giving me heartburn. Thank you.
So we'll go Trustee Foyt and then Trustee Sanchez.
So that's when we work with the foundation.
yeah, no money goes through the Schaefer company. I'm not really, they're a consultant, just like an architect or an engineer. The money would be, and this is almost a full-time endeavor. I mean, that's one of the reasons I think it comes through staff and through the board. I mean, even the naming rights policy, any money secured by the foundation, as soon as it's secured per the board's requirement, is to be turned over to the district. So it's not just one, this is really a whole, Yeah.
I'd like to speak. If we approve the contract this evening, I don't believe there's anything saying that the foundation could not give us the money to fund the contract. So we could be done tonight.
Say that again.
I'd like to call for the vote.
There's currently not a motion on the table for a vote, so there would need to be a motion to do that. Trustee Sanchez.
Okay, so
Well,
we
I thought
have,
we were going around for all the trustees to ask
Oh,
questions. rather
if
than
you
letting-
if you
No.
wanted to go Trustee Rogers, we'll sorry I didn't see you, so we'll go Trustee Rogers and then Trustee Foyt and Trustee Sanchez unless Trustee Dukowski has something as well. So Trustee Rogers.
And then I would want to probably ask Councilman Welt if he could just clarify, because I know that as a board, we vote to approve the amount, but my understanding is that the contract still goes through general counsel to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed in terms of verifying ownership and all the other things that we're talking about, we're going to do as a board in terms of looking at the full contract. Is that correct, Councilman Welt?
Yeah, it actually goes both ways. The majority of them are subject to review by council. On occasion, the proposal will be morphed into a contract, and you may see some of that when the proposal is given to you. But most of them, you approve the concept, and then the contract goes through me. And if you have specifics you want me to look at, for instance, the conversation with the foundation, should the donor wish a tax deduction, then we include that within the contract.
I'm unmuted. You're muted,
Keith.
Trustee Rogers.
Thank you. I think I also heard you say, John, that throughout the process that this consultant will be working closely with the library team as well as the foundation team to prospect, cultivate, steward, and secure gifts, correct? Of all kinds.
Clearly, the current foundation is a lot more engaged. I would look forward to it. I think they're instrumental to, the success of any capital campaign. I mean, there will, everything that we put forward through this, I personally think it's a team effort. So I'm in no way trying to exclude one group. I think, I would look forward to it. I was excited to see that, there was some interest, obviously it's a lot of work by the whole team. This is not, a successful capital campaign is a lot of work, right? So, and everybody has to play their part. And certainly the foundation would have an important part in certain aspects of, and certainly there's certain things that only they can do. So, their involvement would be, very much appreciated. Sure.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions for now. So I'll turn it over to the other board members who might have additional questions.
Thank you. Trustee Dukowski, did you have anything right now?
I just, by postponing it another month, so we have copies of the proposal and such, is that detrimental?
No, to be honest, I've never attached an RFP to an agenda item. It's certainly something we could do. I mean, typically we do include the disclosure agreement. As Council Welt had mentioned, typically we have a very simplified contract of services for a consultant. It's basically 3 pages that Council Welt would approve, but the actual RFP and their proposal becomes part of the contract as backup documents, and those very simplified, captures everything that's related to this. The consultant doesn't have any input into the financial workings of how donations would be managed. That still goes through the naming committee and the boards. They are strictly there to provide information and outlets for district staff, foundation staff, and board to just move the project forward.
Thank you. Trustee Sanchez.
I guess I have a question. I just would be more comfortable if we had the backup, especially since we're spending taxpayer dollars when we have a foundation that could pay for this. I am having a little bit of a heartburn for this because I believe that number one, we don't have the backup material. Number two, we're asking to spend money when we have a foundation. And I don't know anything about the process and who you picked, and I'm sure that they are great. That has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying from a procedural process, I would like to have the information in front of me. I really would. Thank you.
Are we commenting or just, are we questioning or discussing?
This is supposed to be
Is that
questions.
more
'Cause we don't
questions,
have
but-
we don't have a motion on the table. yet,
Okay,
so.
because some of the questions are sounding like discussion.
Yes. Are there any other questions or is there a motion at this time?
I would move to table this item to the next meeting. That was my motion, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to table in a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no.
No.
Oh,
No,
So it's 1, 2, 3. Trustee Rogers, you were a no.
correct.
Trustee Shelton,
No.
Trustee Jakowski. You're on mute.
That is aye.
Okay, so that's 4. Motion fails. Is there another motion? Trustee Huron.
I move to authorize staff to award a one-year contract for capital campaign and naming rights consultant services to development of a capital campaign and a naming rights program for the district's new West Las Vegas library, as well as selected future projects to Schaefer Company LLC in the amount not to exceed $110,400, subject to final fee negotiations and final review of contract by council.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if this
Trustee
does,
Ortiz.
if this does pass, can we get a copy of the contract?
We'll make sure that
In the backup?
we'll make sure that all the backup
There won't be
documentation is.
discussion, you just need a copy, that's all.
Yeah, we'll
I
make
think
sure
from a
it's,
discussion standpoint, we would all probably benefit from discussion because a lot of the questions were just discussion and I didn't want to discuss if it wasn't a question, right? So first, I would like to say thank you for being proactive about this. My opinion is we're behind on capital campaign. The other thing I would like to say is that we had an incredible meeting with the foundation. I'm super fired up and excited for where it's going. I thought it was awesome. I love the people. I see Tamar out there, like you are a star for the record. I think your attitude is amazing. You're just like, I'm really excited about where it can go. And I'm really hopeful that what we can do right now in this moment, as we try look at the timeline ahead of us, is work together to solve the problem at hand. And this, if this is no more than a year, and we all discussed yesterday, Monday, Tuesday. I have a cold.
Alexa.
That we have a window where we're going to need to ramp up so that this foundation board has staff, so that this foundation board has support, so this foundation board can get out there and do these things, because a capital campaign is like a full-time job, as Mr. Reno said. That in my mind, like this is that ramp up, but we're also not missing the low-hanging fruit. I believe the trustees have a duty, a fiduciary duty, as Trustee Sanchez said, to do what we can to fund this very crucial library in West Las Vegas. Part of that is ensuring that we are out there getting naming rights, that we are out there, selling bricks on the floor, the ground, not the floor, pavers, thank you. So that people can be invested and involved in what a great project this is going to be. I don't have any concern with the process because I have had a lot of experience with the process that staff goes through as they choose vendors and things like that. And I think you did a really nice job of laying it out for us. And also, I just feel like we have a really great opportunity to set everybody, including the foundation, up in a really strong place to make West Las Vegas amazing. And I see that I heard you say work together. I believe anybody who wants, no one here is suggesting that money goes to any nonprofit that's not our foundation. Every nonprofit dollar needs to go to the foundation, full stop. And the library needs, district and the trustees need, full stop, to be willing to fund infrastructure that allows the foundation to raise money. I think this is a great way to start that and should demonstrate to the foundation our commitment to putting our money where our mouth is in terms of raising money and doing the best thing for the library district.
Here, here.
Trustee Whiteley. Any other Discussion. Seeing none, we'll move on to the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And those opposed, no.
Nay.
No.
So by a vote of 5-4, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Moving on, agenda item number 9. There is no agenda item number 9. Agenda item number 10, announcements. The January board meeting will be held January 11th, 2023 at 5 p.m. at the Whitney Library. The February board meeting will be held on Thursday, February 15th at 5 p.m. at the Summerlin Library. And the March board meeting will be held on Thursday, March 14, 2023 at 5 p.m. at the Windmill Library. Agenda item number 11, public comment. This is for items that were not on the agenda. Is there any public comment for the second public comment period?
No, we do not.
Is there anyone who wants to do public comment who didn't sign up? Okie dokie. Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 12, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Everyone have a great holiday season. Be safe. And we'll see you all back here in January. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you.